Hi, this is Travis Wayne Goodself for TWG Talk about the Constitution. Uh, there's all this talk currently because of the push to do away with net neutrality by the FCC, and there's a lot of communication differences between the government and businesses. Because businesses don't want net neutrality taken away because it ruins their businesses. They have to pay more money to the internet companies. But the whole thing is about whether the internet is to be classified as an information business or a common use business. There are technical terminations for those, but it's whether it's an information company or if it's a common use utility. The problem is that businesses are lobbying Congress to make that determination. They switch back and forth depending on what will make them the most money, and lobbyists pay money to the congressmen, so that the congressmen are therefore obligated to vote in favor of the lobbyists, which are these internet companies. This is the way business is done in Washington. When you pay somebody money to vote in your favor, that's called bribery. And when you threaten the congressman with either exposure of their corruption, which we're seeing a big backlash of all these people coming forward accusing congressmen of sexual abuse, they're not going along with the system that they're in their position to follow. And so there's a huge backlash for congressmen to cater to business, and this can't be the case. The Constitution required that if there was a problem with the Constitution, the business is required to take it to court, and the courts are to decide if the matter is constitutional or not. And so with the internet, if the internet companies felt that they were being mistreated in the business community, they needed to take it to court, and then the judge would determine if there was an actual constitutional law being violated. They would then send the matter to Congress. The courts would send the matter to Congress, saying we have a violation of the Constitution taking place regarding the internet. Fix it. And then Congress would then have to establish an amendment or a new law to handle the internet system, so that it would be in accordance with the Constitution. This separates lobbyists from Congress. It removes them from the situation so that congressmen are not being bribed and have no vested interest in favoring one way or the other the rights of the internet businesses. But we don't practice that. Instead, we practice bribery and extortion and manipulation of the system. We don't have a capitalist economy because of this process. And the people who are suffering are the citizens, the people. When government regulates business, business retaliates by punishing the people. And so government then has to cater to business, but then the people still suffer. We've got to stop this cyclical trend. And it's only going to happen if we follow the Constitution, if we embrace a constitutional law, so that business cannot pay to have their way. We have businesses, when they collapse during an economic collapse, they, get what's it called, the compensation from the government, to help save their business. We can't have that. And it's just one big ugly mess. Now, there are many things to talk about regarding the Constitution, because this year, 2017, we have every single constitutional right, every article is under attack. Our government, business, they're all trying to change so that we no longer follow a constitutional law. There are certain strands of the Constitution that we adhere to, but for the most part, we don't follow the Constitution anymore. And as a result, we have everybody challenging the Constitution, even though we're not practicing it in the first place. And it's because we're not practicing it that business and the government and our president are trying to establish a new system of government. And it's a fascist system. It's a police state system. It's a communist system. It's all of those systems. And we're clashing back and forth between different fascist governments, different principles. And that's where we need to start. We need to establish principles, because the Democratic Party have principles on which they run their campaign, and all of their candidates have to adhere to all of their tenets of their party, and likewise with the Republican Party. And when times are tough, you have a separation within the party of liberal, moderate, and conservatives within each party, and so there are slight differences as to which tenets they adhere to, but the main tenets are pretty much the same. And I'll get into that in future videos, but I see my time is up because it takes over 30 minutes to upload a 5-minute video, and I'm already at 8 minutes. So we'll stop for today's session.